Hey guys, welcome back to the Digital Exodus podcast, the podcast where we talk about mental health, faith, social media, and everything in between. Today, I brought my wonderful friend on, Ashley Abbott. She is an amazing pastor, teacher, leader, and a dear friend from college. And so I met her 5 years ago. I met her in my pajamas, wearing Crocs.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. 1 a.m, I was making a copy. She came with me to the printer, and we've been friends ever since. So, Ashley, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so honored to get to be on your podcast. So a little bit about me. I work full-time for a nonprofit children's ministry that works to reach kids with the gospel. And then outside of that, I get to serve as a chaplain at a local school in the area, and I get to do a lot of mentoring with youth as well. So that's what I love getting to do with most of my time, just getting to serve the Lord in ministry. And then outside of that, I love getting to spend time with family and friends. So it's a little bit about me. Anything else that you want to know?
Amazing. Well, okay, so Ashley spent 2 years mostly off of social media. And so today this interview is going to be going over what she learned, what she took away from it, how the Lord has spoken to her through this. I guess I'll kick it off with our first question, which is, what made you decide to spend that time off of social media?
Oh, that's such a good question. I feel like there are multiple things, but I feel like the biggest one is something that I call the comparison trap. So kind of that mindless scrolling through social media where you're kind of looking at everybody else's highlight reel. And then typically what I would find myself doing is anytime I'm on social media, I'm usually spending time alone. So in my bedroom or wherever, or it'll be a mundane moment of my day-to-day life. Like maybe it's a quick moment when I'm at work or when I'm waiting in line for something at the store. And so you're kind of seeing like the best of everybody else's life, especially when people do photo dumps. And it's like, these are literally the highlights of my last 3 months. And then sometimes that would kind of get to me a little bit. And I noticed it would kind of start to produce some anxiousness or discontentment. And then it would kind of hit different too, depending on who it was that was posting. And so there were kind of some posts that started to make me a little more anxious than I maybe would have liked them to. And so after that, I had done social media fast before, and I'm like, I think around Christmas, I just need to try to do this and unplug a little bit. And so I did. You got to have the little motion in there, unplug. So I did, I think it was like for 3 days or maybe a week. And then I was like, this is awesome. And then I noticed all these benefits of it. And then it was shortly after I got back on where it was the same kind of thing. There were a couple of posts that just specifically hit a little bit deeper. And then I was like, if this is what it feels like to get back on social media, and then I had just experienced all the benefits that I had noticed, I'm like, why would I go back to regularly scrolling or like kind of going on social media every day? So then I decided to take a longer break. I think for a month for sure, but I think it was even a few months.
Yeah.
And then I just started to notice this long list of benefits in my life. And I'm like, my life is so much better without this. So then I kind of set a permanent boundary where I just go on social media once a week for 5 minutes at a time now to basically check DMs and whatever the first few posts end up being, because I'm only on there for a few minutes at a time. One of my rules is no scrolling. So
that's awesome.
That's kind of how I got to where I'm at. And I'm about to hit 2 years of being off social media just by checking it once a week for a few minutes at a time. So
that is so awesome.
Thank you. That's such an honor.
What have you replaced that time that used to spend scrolling? What has that been replaced by now that you've kind of moved away from that lifestyle?
Such a good question. Honestly, a lot of things, because you don't always realize it. But when you total all the time that most people spend on social media a day, it usually amounts to hours of time that people are spending on social media. So you can kind of do a lot in that time. I think for me, it's helped me kind of spend more time in my relationship with God. Especially recently, I've been getting up about an hour to an hour and a half before I need to get ready for work. And I've just been able to have more time in the Word, have more time in prayer, and get a little exercise too. So I've been going on the treadmill, and that's been really good. And it's helped me start my day in a way that's so much more peaceful, because I feel like when I use social media regularly, I used to wake up and kind of start scrolling because that's what your notifications are. It kind of pulls you into things. So I've been able to spend more time with the Lord. And then another thing is I've been able to just spend more face-to-face time with people, like people that I want to spend time with, connected with people in community. There wasn't a lack of that in my life back when I was on social media, but just like mainly focusing on those relationships with people, or like a FaceTime or texting or audio messages. That's been so much better than trying to catch up with people on social media. So I would say those two things mainly.
So since you work with a lot of young people and
Yes.
teenagers, what have you seen working with them of common themes of like social media and mental health, or what they talk about when they talk about social media?
That is such a good question. I feel like there are plenty of students that I work with that aren't on social media, which I think is a great thing. But ever since I started serving in ministry, I noticed it's always seemed like it didn't really matter what the setting was. It always seemed like everywhere I was, that half of the group struggled with significant mental health issues. And I do think that kind of comes from the comparison trap, whether that comes from social media or other things, but usually it's media in some way, shape, or form. So I've noticed there can be a lot of self-esteem issues and insecurities that have developed from a lot of media use. And I would say another big one too is no matter what social media platforms they're using or what apps they're using, because sometimes it's not social media, but it's chat apps. I would say I notice a lot more internet relationships and that being the focus rather than face-to-face time with real people. And sometimes I've seen from that become a desire to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and maybe the person's like 12 years old. And a lot of times for that I would say just call a friend. But a lot of that texting and talking through phones, social media, whatever it might be, rather than face-to-face time. So I would say that's a big one. So
that's awesome. So you talked about your relationship with the Lord, how that grew when you're off of social media, and spent, would go on it for a little bit during the week. How, like, what specifically did you notice change with your relationship with the Lord once you started kind of noticing the comparison trap and moving away from social media?
So what did spending time away from social media kind of do in my relationship with God? A few things. So first of all, I kind of noticed that I would use social media kind of in the open spots within my day. Like it could have been a moment at work when I had a quick break, or a lunch break to myself, or it could have been, when I'm like standing around waiting for something and I know I have a couple minutes. It kind of those just like mundane moments within your day. But when I kind of took that out, I was able to replace that more with even just with the little moments in my day investing in my spiritual life, where like maybe instead of just like mindlessly scrolling through social media, it's like a time of prayer with the Lord, or like pulling out my Bible app quick and like meditating on a verse, or just like thinking about the Lord and where God is in my current situation. And then I also noticed, not that God wasn't speaking to me before, but I felt like when I moved away that distraction, I noticed God speaking to me more. Because you do have to wait on the Lord and rest in his presence to be able to hear from him, and to be able to even learn what his voice sounds like, what it's like when God's leading you. And I've noticed that a lot more recently, and that's been a really cool thing. So just having those pauses in the day to listen to the Lord and let the Holy Spirit lead and guide me in situations, and be in prayer about those things, but then also let him guide me in situations. So that's been a huge thing. And then just more time to spend with him in my day too. So it's been really good.
That's so cool. And then if you could give any encouragement or challenge to teenagers or young adults who are thinking about, I want to log off social media, but I'm scared I'm going to miss out, like, what would you encourage them with?
That's such a good question.
You spend a lot of time with teenagers and young adults. So
I do. So this would be super, super simple, but if you're already considering it, I would say just do it. You just kind of have to jump into it and start, and it's going to take a lot of discipline, and it's not going to be easy to do, but I would say it's totally worth it. So just find like whatever that next step is for you, even if it's small. Like maybe it's starting with just a few days off of social media and seeing what that feels like and what you notice, if you like it, if you don't like it. And then from there, if you find benefits, I would just encourage you to maybe go for a longer stint of time, maybe for a week, maybe for a month, or maybe it's like me and kind of having more of a permanent boundary with social media. For me, it took deleting social media apps off my phone. I literally have to log into a web browser to access social media, and then I'm typically always logged out of my accounts. So then when I do go to my web browser, if it's just out of habit and I'm on like Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, I can see that I'm logged out and I can be reminded that I kind of made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to be on that all week except for this certain day. And when I was on, I was just going to check it for a few minutes at a time. So it's almost a reminder of that boundary. And then it actually kind of takes a little bit more effort to log in. So I'm less likely to do it versus if it's just already open. So those were some things that were helpful for me. But I would just say you kind of have to find what boundaries are good for you to set and then kind of start with those baby steps and then work from there. So that would be my advice.
I really like how you talk about baby steps too, because sometimes it's easy to feel overwhelmed of like, I want to start, but I don't know where, and I feel like I'm going to miss out. But starting, like, I really like your rule of 5 minutes a week where you can check everything, make sure you didn't miss anything. You know, if somebody got engaged or had a baby, like you're able to like go and see. But you're also not consumed by the scroll of getting just like, oh my goodness, it's been 40 minutes and I've been sitting on my couch just watching like Instagram reels or something. So that's awesome. Any concluding thoughts or concluding words of encouragement or
that's such a good question. I don't know if I have any.
That's amazing.
So,
you used all your wisdom.
Thank you so much.
That's what it
that's
was.
Such an honor.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for tuning into this podcast. We hope that it blessed you. We hope that it gave you some encouragement, pointed you towards the Lord. I'm so excited just for this ministry as it's starting off, that we're going to be able to help young adults find faith and freedom from maybe the scroll of social media usage. And so if you're interested, feel free to visit thedigitalexodus.com. We have a ton of resources for you. If you're thinking about logging off social media, you don't know where to start, we have a free 30-day workbook, and it goes through kind of a couple different challenges of what you can do. And so, we're so glad you tuned in, and we hope you guys have a great day. Bye.